The first thing the woman did when she realized she had been reborn was to walk into her bathroom and shave her head. Watching her long, chestnut hair, the hair her husband called his favorite asset, fall into the sink like dead weight, Han-yu stood in the sterile silence, her eyes fixed on the date on the mirror's digital display, September 20th. In her past life, this was the day she had been drugged, bundled into a car, and sent to a psychiatric ward. Her husband, Wei Jian, had reported to the press that his beloved wife had suffered a catastrophic mental collapse. In reality, he had been microdosing her with hallucinogens for months to secure her signature on a total power of attorney document. By the time she escaped that ward in her first life, her family's company had been liquidated, and her father had died. Overwhelmed by the erasure of her identity, she had walked into the path of a speeding truck on a rain-slicked highway. But heaven had granted her a week of grace. She was back, 7 days before the breakdown gala. She stripped off the silk robe Wei Jian had gifted her, treated with a sedative, and threw it into the fireplace. She moved to her safe, withdrawing a burner phone. She didn't call the police. The chief was Wei Jian's partner. Instead, she called Uncle Chen, her father's former head of security, who had been retired by Wei Jian a month prior. She told him to meet her at a secure location with a team of men who had no ties to the Wei family. By noon, Han-yu reached the family's private laboratory. She used a service elevator and her old biometric bypass. She modified the digital sequence, introducing a subtle, untraceable flaw in the protein chain of Wei Jian's miracle cure. The next morning, Wei Jian returned. He entered the bedroom with a tray of tea, his face a mask of saintly patience. Han-yu didn't argue. She took the cup and poured the tea into the vent of his expensive air purifier. By Wednesday, she transferred her liquid assets into a charitable trust under the guise of an endowment fund. Wei Jian burst into her room, his composure shattering. He demanded to know why she was sabotaging their future. Wei Jian decided to move the kidnapping forward. He reported to the private clinic that the patient was ready for transport. Han-yu allowed the orderlies to take her. She was wearing a coat with a GPS distress beacon sewn into the lining. As the van wound into the mountains, Han-yu sat in the back. She wasn't afraid. She was a Trojan horse. The head doctor was waiting, his hands reaching for a syringe. But the night sky was torn apart by the sound of rotors. 3 private helicopters descended. Han-yu reported that the entire facility had been under federal surveillance. The final confrontation happened on the steps. Wei Jian looked at his wife, her head shaved, her eyes burning with light. Han-yu stood on the balcony of her father's estate, looking at the sunrise. She dropped her wedding ring into the dirt. The week of grace was over. The debt was settled. The woman who had been erased had written herself back into existence.